Yeah, it's true that for 26 years our India Economic Summit has taken place in the capital of India, New Delhi, and brought together leaders from civil society, from government, and from industry. And this year, by going to Mumbai, it's not so much a simple city-to-city move, but rather is more symbolic of our goal to highlight the important role which states play in shaping the national agenda for India. And therefore, I see it less of a city-to-city move, but more of a center-to-state move. If you consider a simple fact that the top 5 states in India each has a population which is larger than any economy in the European Union, it gives you a sense for the role that states play in implementing the policies which will shape India's future economic growth. Perhaps I'll point out two, as there are many highlights for this year's meeting. Firstly, related to my original point about the role of states, we're particularly delighted to have, in fact, the participation of several chief ministers from Indian states who will be speaking in the public program alongside the international government leaders as well as the national leaders from New Delhi. But second, let's remind ourselves of the theme for this year's summit, which is linking leadership with livelihood. India is an economy which has placed particular emphasis on its inclusive growth agenda over the past years. But equitable growth is inextricably linked to good governance and transparency. And in fact, these have been two issues which have really gripped the nation over the past year. I think I would break that into two parts, the international context and the national context of the challenges. In the international context, India is clearly not isolated from the impact of the contraction of the global economy. In the past, India has been able to some extent shield itself from a global economic recession because of robust domestic consumption. But this year the indicators show that the sovereign debt crisis in the Eurozone, the slowing of the US economy are having also an impact on India's high growth economy. In the case of the national context, I would cite the infrastructure development as being a particular challenge, which is perhaps not keeping pace with such a high growth economy like India, which over the past years consistently posted 7% plus growth. And therefore, our program is divided into two parts. The first day will focus on these larger macroeconomic issues and the global context and the role which India is playing as a member of the G20. And the second day will then take the discussion into these areas of competitiveness and the role that states in India are playing as critical implementers.